Continuing our special show on the future of the movies, we were fascinated to discover the frustrations that directors Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, and George Lucas have had. Frustrations that will color the pictures they make from now on. For example, over the years of their separate successes, each has been intrigued by the challenge of whether he could ever make a movie in the style of the others.
Your first two features, THX 1138 and American Graffiti, were what could be called personal films.
Well, THX especially was a personal film in that was the kind of movie making I liked to do and was doing at the time. I really saw myself when I got out of school as being a cinema verite documentary filmmaker who, on the side, was able to make these sort of personal movies, visual films. That was the closest thing. That was sort of taking my personal kind of vision and trying to translate it to the theatrical medium. And, with dubious success, but it was an interesting experiment. American Graffiti, on the other hand, was a regular movie where there are a lot of human beings and actors and they act, and it's funny, and it's like a real movie. So that was a challenge there. And I obviously took something out of my past, and I made something that I cared about. But it was, in a way, part of it was a challenge to sort of learn theatrical filmmaking.
I was going to say, American Graffiti is a film that is a starting point for a career that you haven't had yet.
Pretty much.
A different career, as a different filmmaker.
Yeah. Well, and my career has just sort of gone sideways. I don't know why, other than I did what I seemed to be right at the moment and seemed to be the thing I needed to do. And a lot of my friends at the time after Star Wars were saying, why don't you do a movie like Taxi Driver? Why don't you do some artistic statement? Why are you making children's films? I mean, this is completely lunatic. And I said, well, I want to do it.
You get people who like your work and want you to be
somebody else. So a lot of people like my work, and they say, now can you be somebody different? I say, what's wrong with me? I say, we like all your films now, but you're starting to repeat yourself. I'm getting a little tired of this sweet stuff. Why don't you be somebody else, make a real dark movie? Show us your dark side.
And to them in the 90s, they're not going to get it, right?
Why? I haven't shown myself my dark side yet. I mean, how am I going to show it to anybody else? We've all got them, but, we have to acknowledge them before we make movies about them. No, I mean, we all do different things. I could never make Raging Bull. I don't think Marty could have made, let's say, Close Encounters in the same way. He would have made a wonderful and interesting Close Encounters. I don't think I would have made a wonderful or interesting Raging Bull. Marty likes primal life. He likes the primal screen. He's the best director of the primal scene in film history. The primal screen scares the stuff out of me.
What is it that somebody like Spielberg has? I mean, he's the home run hitter of all time, of your age group. What does he have that you don't have in that way?
Well, I really think he has his hand right on the pulse of what the public, not only what the public wants, but their fantasies, what they need. And what they needed in the early, 75 was Jaws, but I'm talking about E.T. and Close Encounters in the late 70s, and that's that fantasy, the sense of wonder and that sense of real theatrical magic. It's the kind of thing I want to see. The kind of thing I grew up watching. The Disney, it's like Disney. Really had that. It was just so fascinating. I mean, it's the kind of picture I like to go in a theater and see and be in a wraparound screen, sit in the second row,
but
and have incredible sound, and it makes $200 million. It's terrific.
Do you think you can make a picture like that, congenitally?
I don't know if I can.
Popular imagination.
I don't know if I can. You see, that's the thing. I don't know if I like to watch them. I don't think I can do it.
You've talked about the aspirations of kids in your films, to have a pet, an E.T., to see a creature from another planet, Close Encounters, to survive a shark. What do 42-year-olds have fantasies about?
Well, 42-year-olds dream about spaceships, shark survival, fedora hat and leather jacket, escapades across the globe. 42 years old, 82 years old, doesn't matter what age you are, the child is still alive inside of you, even if you dwarf it just by sheer neglect.
I want to ask that question again, because I don't know if you're giving me a really good answer, and that is, what do 42-year-olds fantasize about? Because I have a feeling that it is not creatures from another planet.
Well, the one thing we all have in common, that anybody, if you have 42-year-old fantasizes about, excitement and emotions, whether they're uplifting or they're going to, going to put your feelings down.
What about the ultimate sexual encounter? A truly close encounter.
Moi? To film that? I've always been embarrassed by screen sexuality. It's always embarrassed me. It's embarrassed me because it hasn't often been done real well. And when it has been done, it's been no different than the last couple of sexual encounters in other movies. And one of the most original sexual encounters was one of the most honest, which was in Nick Rogue's Don't Look Now. There haven't been a lot of Don't Look Now since Don't Look Now. And I also find that movies tend to stop for love scenes. That what is said between the people in daylight is often much more poignant and emotional and sensually suggestive than the arbitrary cutaway with the backlight coming through the window, and the rolling in the hay. It just, to me is, there have been very few films where that's important.
Nobody knows a director's work better than the director himself. And so we asked all three of our great American directors to choose what they think is the master image in their work. The one visual image or approach or style that best captures their whole artistic personality. For Martin Scorsese, it came from the movie many people think was the best film of the 1980s.
To people that don't know you, there may be some. You once told me about this concept of the master image, of a single shot.
Oh, yeah.
That represents a whole film. You want to come up with a master image that would sum up you, that you say, if I started grabbing film out of your vault, you say, leave me this frame, because this is what I stand for.
Well, that's a hard one. I know I should say something witty, but I can't. It's like,
I don't want you to say something witty. I'd like you to
bright,
pick.
or,
Well,
let's
take Raging Bull, because it was voted the best film of the 80s, and it's certainly one that you're pleased with.
Well, I think the opening title shot, the shot that's used over the titles, has that quality for me. The sense of desolation, the sense of loneliness, and that sense of that ring being, in a way, not different from the kitchen or the bedroom or the living room or the street. That sense of loneliness and a sense of isolation and fighting out your life, struggling to survive, and struggling to be, what you think may be a good person or a good man.
I think for me, it's a pace and an editorial style more than it is an actual photographic image that is the essence of what I am. I've noticed that the one thing that I bring to the medium that is very unique to me is that sort of pace and editorial style, which is probably reflects my personality. It's hard to see.
Can you give us a series of 4 shots that embody your pace and editorial style?
What, a series of shots?
Yeah, we'd have to have more than one shot if we were going to talk about pacing.
Yes. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is a very odd little sequence in Star Wars where they escape from the Death Star, and it's sort of they're shooting the TIE fighters. They're in the Millennium Falcon. They're sort of in their gun ports. Like that little gun port sequence is, I think, an example of that.
That's it! We did it! We did it!
This is real tough. I start throwing out all your films, and you say, give me this one negative. Let me hold this one. What occurs to you?
Well, that's the best and maybe the hardest question to answer, because it's kind of like saying, which of your 4 kids do you like the most? It's hard for a parent to answer that about when they have a lot of children. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think maybe the one image for me, I mean, you're asking me the question, and I feel obligated to give you an answer, so let me give you an answer, even if I take it back in my sleep tonight, okay?
Fine.
I think it's the little boy in Close Encounters opening the door and standing in that beautiful yet awful light, just like fire coming through the doorway.
And what it means to you is basically a symbol of the human condition, that we're all boys or girls standing in front of a door at all times.
That we don't know what's out there. And yet we should discover what's out there. We shouldn't be afraid of not knowing. And we should just take a step toward what we don't understand.